Welcome to the channel. Hit subscribe and dive into stories that'll stay with you long after the video ends. Let's begin. It began with rain, the kind that blurred the streetlights and turned the city into a smear of trembling color. Ethan Price watched from his living room window, the glass cold beneath his fingertips. He should have been asleep hours ago, but something in the storm kept him awake, something that felt like waiting. Then came the knock, 3 sharp taps against the door. He froze. No one ever came this late. The digital clock on the wall glowed 2:14 a.m. Another knock, louder this time. He crossed the floor slowly, every creak of the wooden board sounding like a warning. Through the peephole, just darkness, then movement. A man stood there, drenched to the bone, his hair plastered to his forehead. He looked young, maybe 30, maybe less. There was something hollow about his eyes, like they were searching for a world that wasn't there. "Please," the stranger said, voice trembling. I just need a place to wait out the rain." "I'll go in the morning," Ethan hesitated. He wasn't the kind of man who invited strangers in. But something in that voice, something exhausted, broken, cut through his caution. He unlocked the door. The man stepped inside, dripping water onto the old rug. His clothes clung to his frame and his hands shook as he brushed at his sleeves. "Thank you," he whispered. "I didn't know where else to go." Ethan nodded, still unsure. "You can crash on the couch. There's a blanket in the closet." The stranger gave a weak smile. "You're a good man." They didn't talk much after that. Ethan tossed him a towel, left a cup of water on the coffee table, and turned off the lamp. The storm outside howled, throwing shadows against the walls like restless ghosts. Ethan lay in bed staring at the ceiling. He could hear the stranger shifting on the couch, the springs groaning softly. Something about it made his chest tighten. Why had the man been out there? What was he running from? He tried to sleep. Failed. At some point, exhaustion dragged him under. When he woke, dawn was leaking pale light through the blinds. The storm had passed. The air felt heavy and clean, like the world had been washed raw. He pushed himself up, rubbed at his eyes, and listened. Silence. The couch was empty. The blanket folded neatly. The front door closed, locked. But something glimmered on the coffee table. A necklace. Silver chain, delicate as a breath, catching the morning light. At its center, a sapphire, deep oceanic blue. So pure it almost seemed to pulse. Ethan stared at it, confusion curling through him like smoke. He hadn't seen it last night. It was too beautiful, too deliberate to be forgotten. He picked it up. Cold metal, heavy stone. For a moment he thought he heard something faint, like a whisper that wasn't a sound, but a memory trying to speak. Then his phone buzzed on the counter, an unknown number. He answered. A woman's voice, trembling. "Is this Ethan Price?" You have something that belongs to me." Ethan didn't speak at first. The voice on the other end was fragile, like something that had been crying for too long. Who is this?" he finally asked. The woman hesitated. He could hear faint sounds behind her. Traffic, maybe. Or rain again, though the morning sky outside his window was clear. "My name's Claire," she said. "That necklace. It's mine. Please tell me you found it." Ethan's eyes went back to the table. The sapphire shimmered softly in the daylight, that impossible blue still pulsing, as if it had a heartbeat. "I did. But how did it get here?" Claire inhaled sharply, as though she'd been holding her breath for hours. "Did a man come to your house last night?" "Tall brown jacket, dark hair. His name's Daniel." Ethan froze. The name landed like a weight in his chest. "Yeah, he said he needed shelter from the rain. He left before I woke up." There was silence on the line. Then a quiet, broken laugh. "He's gone again," she whispered. "He always leaves something behind." Ethan frowned. "I don't understand. What's going on?" Claire's voice trembled. "That necklace belonged to my sister. She died last year. Daniel was the last person who saw her alive." The words hit like a cold wind through his ribs. Ethan sank into the chair, phone pressed tight to his ear. "Look," he said carefully, "if this is some kind of—" "It's not," she interrupted, voice sharp with sudden fear. "Don't let him back in. If he comes back, don't open your door. Wait, what are you—" The line went dead. Ethan sat there, heartbeat hammering, listening to the empty dial tone. Outside, the city had begun to stir. Cars, birds, the ordinary sounds of morning. But inside his apartment, it felt like the air itself had changed. He looked again at the necklace. The sapphire caught the light in strange ways now, like something alive inside it was moving. He set it down and stepped back. He needed to think. Maybe he should call the police, but what would he even say? A stranger slept on my couch and left behind a haunted necklace? It sounded insane. Instead, he pocketed the jewelry, grabbed his coat, and left the apartment. The streets were slick from the night storm. Every reflection in the puddles seemed deeper than it should have been, like the city was hiding another version of itself just beneath the surface. Ethan stopped at a cafe on the corner, ordered black coffee. Tried to shake the memory of Daniel's face, the haunted eyes, the strange calm. He turned the necklace over in his hand under the table. On the clasp, faint engraving, "To see." He was still staring at it when he felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. Someone was standing just outside the window. Watching him, Daniel, drenched again, though there was no rain, his face pale. His gaze locked on the sapphire. Ethan's heart lurched. He blinked once and Daniel was gone. The waitress called his name, snapping him back. He looked out again. Empty street. Then from the pocket of his coat the phone began to ring. "Same unknown number," he answered. Claire's voice was a whisper now, frantic, breathless. "He found you, didn't he?" Ethan's hand trembled around the phone. People in the cafe carried on as if nothing had changed. Clinking cups, soft chatter, the hiss of steaming milk, while his world began to tilt. "Yes," he whispered. He was outside the window, but when I looked again, he was gone. Claire's voice came fast, low, the words spilling over one another. "You need to listen to me. Daniel isn't what you think. He's sick, he doesn't remember things right. After my sister died, he vanished. The police looked for months. They said he was obsessed with the necklace, said he blamed himself." Ethan's eyes drifted to the sapphire again. In the light of the cafe, it seemed deeper, almost swallowing the reflection of the overhead lamp. "I just gave him a couch for the night," he said, as if saying it out loud could make it smaller. Claire's breath hitched. "He left it with you on purpose. Why would he? He believes the necklace chooses people. That it carries her voice. That it talks." The word struck something deep in him, a spark of recognition he didn't want to name. That faint whisper he'd heard earlier. Had it really been the rain? He lowered his voice. "You're saying your sister's voice is in this thing?" "I'm saying," Claire said. "Daniel believes he can still hear her through it. He told me once the sapphire showed him things. Faces in the dark, places that shouldn't exist." The phone crackled. Her voice broke. "Ethan, if he comes back, don't look at the stone. Don't let him touch it." Then the line went dead again. Ethan sat frozen, surrounded by the ordinary world, but the air felt charged. Hong. He slipped the necklace back into his pocket and stood, leaving the coffee untouched. Outside, the wind had picked up again, cold, sharp. The clouds were moving fast across the sky, heavy and bruised with the promise of another storm. He headed home on foot, checking over his shoulder every few blocks. Nothing. But once, passing an alley, he swore he saw movement, a figure ducking just out of sight. By the time he reached his building, dusk was settling, and a strange quiet had taken hold of the street. He climbed the stairs, each step echoing too loud. When he unlocked his door, the apartment was dark except for the thin ribbon of light seeping in through the blinds. Everything looked normal, until he saw the footprints, wet prints across the wooden floor. From the living room, to the hallway, to his bedroom door, he felt his pulse roar in his ears. Slowly, he reached into his pocket, clutching the necklace tight. The bedroom door was slightly open. He pushed it wider. Empty room. Daniel. No one. Then something shifted in the mirror, a reflection that wasn't his. For just a second, a woman's face appeared behind him, pale, eyes wide, lips parted like she wanted to speak. And from somewhere deep inside the sapphire, a voice as soft as breath. "Help me." Ethan stumbled back, the necklace slipping from his grasp. It hit the floor with a sound far heavier than it should have made, metal against wood, ringing like a bell that wouldn't stop. Then the room went dark, and the front door creaked open. Ethan's breath hitched. The front door, the one he was sure he'd locked, drifted inward on a whisper of cold air. "Daniel," he called, though his voice came out barely more than a rasp. No answer. The city noise from outside seemed to fade away, replaced by a low hum that he couldn't place, almost mechanical but deeper, like the sound of the world holding its breath. He moved through the dark living room, hand skimming along the wall until his fingers found the switch. The light flickered on. Daniel stood by the couch, same soaked clothes, same hollow eyes, but now there was something else in them, a feverish glint, a hunger. "You shouldn't have touched it," Daniel said quietly. Ethan's throat went dry. "You left it here. You didn't give me much choice." Daniel tilted his head, eyes fixed on Ethan's pocket. "It's awake now, isn't it?" "You heard her. Who?" Daniel's smile was almost tender. "Clara," Ethan's mind raced. "Claire's sister." Daniel nodded slowly. "She's not gone." "Not really. The sapphire. It's what's left of her. Her voice, her pain, everything that wouldn't die." "That's insane." Daniel stepped closer. "You think I don't know how it sounds? But I've seen it. The necklace shows you what it wants. The first time I heard her, I thought I was losing my mind. Then I saw her reflection, just like you did." Ethan's pulse thundered. "What happened to her, Daniel?" Daniel's eyes flickered, a shadow crossing his face. "I didn't mean to hurt her. We were fighting. She wanted to leave, said she couldn't handle it anymore. I tried to stop her. She fell." His voice cracked. The sapphire shattered when it hit the floor. The stone cut her hand. She bled on it. "When I picked it up," he shuddered, "I heard her, whispering my name, begging me to stay." Ethan took a step back. "So you've been carrying this thing around ever since?" Daniel's voice dropped to a whisper. "Not carrying, guarding." A sharp ringing filled the room. Not from the necklace this time, but from the mirror in the hallway, vibrating softly, edges trembling like liquid. Daniel's gaze darted toward it. "She's here." Ethan turned. The mirror's reflection rippled like water. Behind their reflections, the same pale woman appeared again, her eyes pleading now, mouth forming words they couldn't hear. "Clara?" Daniel whispered. Her lips moved again, slowly, deliberately. "He killed me." The air cracked open between them. Daniel stumbled back, eyes wide, shaking his head violently. No, she's lying." "She doesn't understand." The hum grew louder, almost unbearable. Ethan covered his ears. But the sound wasn't just in the room. It was inside his skull, pressing against his thoughts. Daniel lunged for the necklace on the floor, clutching it tight. "She's trying to turn you against me," Ethan shouted. "Put it down." The sapphire flared bright blue, flooding the room with cold light. Daniel screamed, not from pain but from something deeper, a terror that broke open his voice, then silence. When Ethan's vision cleared, Daniel was gone. Only the necklace remained, glowing faintly on the floor, pulsing like a heart. And in the mirror, Clara's reflection slowly turned her gaze toward Ethan and smiled. The light from the sapphire faded until only the gray dimness of early dawn filled the room. Ethan stood frozen. The apartment smelled faintly of ozone, the air heavy. Charged, Daniel was gone. No sound, no trace, not even a shadow where he had stood. Only the necklace remained, resting in a circle of light on the floor. The sapphire dull now, spent. He knelt beside it, his breath coming slow and uneven. The silence pressed in like weight. He thought of Claire's voice over the phone, raw and shaking. "He's not what you think." He picked up the necklace carefully. It was warm now, as though someone had just held it. "Clara," he said softly, his voice barely holding steady. "What do you want from me?" No answer. Only the creak of the building settling, the low moan of wind through the cracks in the window frame. He turned the sapphire toward the mirror. His reflection stared back, tired, shaken, older than he remembered being. But behind his image, faint and translucent, Clara's outline shimmered again. Her lips moved once more. The words were clear this time. "Help me leave." Ethan swallowed hard. "How?" The mirror pulsed once like a ripple through still water. And the image shifted, showing not his apartment now, but something else. A dark forest, a house half hidden in mist, and a woman standing at its doorway. Claire. Ethan stepped closer to the mirror, hand outstretched. "Claire?" The phone on the counter buzzed violently, startling him. He grabbed it. Claire's voice was thin, urgent. He came to me. Daniel's here. Can't. Static tore through the line. Then silence. The mirror flashed again. He saw the house, the door swinging open. Inside. Movement. Two figures blurred. A struggle, Ethan didn't think. He grabbed his keys. The necklace still clutched tight and ran. The road wound out of the city into a stretch of desolate woods. The sky above was a churn of gray clouds, bruised and restless. He followed the directions the mirror had shown him in that flicker of vision, his headlights cutting narrow paths through the fog. Then he saw it, the house from the reflection. Old, leaning, half-swallowed by trees. A light burned in an upstairs window. He pushed through the door, inside, dust and rot. Footprints leading up the stairs. A faint sound. A woman crying. He climbed every step, groaning beneath his weight. At the top of the stairs, Claire stood in the doorway of a bedroom. Daniel was on his knees before her, hands over his ears, whispering something over and over. "She won't stop," he gasped. "She won't stop calling me." Ethan stepped forward. "Daniel, it's over." "Let her go." Daniel looked up, eyes wild. "You don't understand. If I let her go, she'll take me with her." Ethan raised the necklace. The sapphire flared once, bathing the room in blue. In that light, Clara appeared. Between them, clear, weeping, her gaze fixed on Daniel. He reached for her. "I'm sorry," he whispered. She smiled. For the first time, the light softened. The necklace cracked. The sapphire split down its center. A rush of wind filled the room, cold and clean. When it settled, Clara was gone. Daniel lay still, peaceful, the faintest smile on his face. Claire sobbed quietly into Ethan's shoulder. Outside, the storm began to fade. Ethan looked down at what was left of the necklace. Only silver now. The stone gone. He felt its weight once more, then slipped it into Claire's hand. "She's free," he said. And as dawn broke through the trees, he walked out into the quiet morning, the echo of rain still whispering against the earth, like a voice finally at rest. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and visit the channel for more real-life emotional stories.